Hello again. Welcome to another Ubuntu On Air update. Got Alan with me today, along with Bill, George, and Lucas, who are going to be giving us updates from their respective areas. We'll also be taking questions from those of you who are watching the video. If you're on ubuntuonair.com, there'll be an IRC window just below the video. You can log in there and ask us your questions. If you start them with the word question in all capitals, it'll turn bright yellow in my IRC client so that I don't miss it. So be sure to do that. We'll answer them in the order they come in as we have time. We'll take breaks between people giving their update if we have questions. Otherwise, we'll get to them all at the end. To start us out, we're going to have Bill Filler giving us an update on the phone apps.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to give you an update on the system apps, what we've been working on the last few weeks and what we have planned in the next weeks going forward. So I'll start with the camera app. So we've landed a newly designed camera app recently, and that was our design team came up with a new design. Essentially very similar to the old one, but one of the biggest new features is that there's a kind of a built-in photo roll to view your photos and to share them, so you don't have to now launch the gallery to view your photos. So that's in there, and we're working on a couple other additional features like HDR support and white balance and possibly burst mode. So that's being worked on currently. I'll also mention, for those who haven't noticed yet, that the video recording functionality is re-enabled in both the camera app and the back end, although there are some bugs with it right now. The audio is not recording correctly and the orientation is incorrect, but that's being worked on. Okay, on the browser, the big things that we've landed recently are the video playback support. So you can now play YouTube videos and make them full screen, and other types of embedded videos work as well. So that's a nice feature. It's not yet accelerated decoding, but it actually works pretty well on the Nexus 4 phone. We've also been working hard on download support within the browser. So that's it, to essentially give you the ability to download files that can be opened by apps that are installed on the phone. So it's integrated with the Content Hub. That hasn't hit an image yet. We've been waiting on a new Oxide, which I think landed today. So you should see the download support within the next day or two in the develop channel for the Ubuntu Touch. Yeah, and we're also working on, there's a new design for the browser that the design team came up with. So we're working hard on that to try and get some of that landed for the UX freeze end of next week. On the telephony side, we landed emergency calling and the in-call indication. So the in-call indication, well, both of these actually rely on some features in the shell that haven't landed yet. But for the emergency calling, for example, once we support the pin lock screen on the greeter, you'll be able to still dial emergency numbers only. So we have a mode of the dialer basically that allows you to only make emergency calls, and I believe that works also if you don't have a SIM card. Those are the two cases where we support the emergency calling. And the in-call indication is it's really kind of like when you're on a call, even when you switch between apps, it gives you an easy way to switch back to the dialer and to indicate that you're actually on a live call. So that's we have all the support in the apps for that, and I'm not sure when the Unity stuff is landing, but once it does, that should all work. And we're currently working on the modifications to the UI to support dual SIM. So that's our current work item there. On the messaging app, we landed support for sending attachments via SMS, and we currently support photos and contacts V cards, not videos yet. Again, that's all in. We're waiting on a couple updates for the Ubuntu Download Manager to fix some issues that we need fixed for that. But the UI piece is all in right now. And then on the address book, finishing a lot of new work on the designs and kind of bug fixing and performance tweaks there. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Anything planned for the system settings?
Yeah, actually, I think there's a lot of things planned for system settings. I'm not working on those specifically. My team, it's actually Pat is managing that, but I know there's a whole host of settings that will be coming. Well, one of them that I do know about actually is the vibrate mode support. So you'll be able to, for text messages or for phone calls, be able to switch on like ring or vibrate. And I think there'll be a silent mode as well.
Oh, that'll be nice to have.
Yeah, that'll be nice. And I know there's other telephony-related settings that are going to be necessary for dual SIM. So, for example, to set which SIM you want to be your default on phone calls and messages, call forwarding. There's a whole slew of settings that are in the works.
Okay. I'm also really looking forward to those new browser designs. I don't know how many people have seen them. I'm not sure the design team has blogged about it yet on their design blog, but they look really nice. And the way they're going to handle like browser history and multiple tabs using the bottom edge is really, really innovative. So definitely looking forward to that landing.
Yeah. So the browser is, you guys have probably seen we've landed all the bottom edge stuff on the dialer and messaging address book apps. The browser, we're a bit behind on the design work because there's so many just core browser features that we need to get done first. So our focus has really kind of been, and will continue to be, to kind of get the core browser features working and phase in the new design changes. So it's a bit behind as far as the other apps go, but we are working toward that goal.
If anyone hasn't played with these apps lately, since they gained the bottom edge feature, it's definitely worth going back and trying them again because it's a completely different experience and it's so much nicer now. I'm loving all the bottom edge stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, no doubt.
All right, and to talk more about apps, we're going to switch over to Alan, who's been running our Core Apps project, which are the community-developed apps that we're building specifically for the phones. So, Alan, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, sorry if my webcam freaks out. I need to buy a new one. And also, if there's loads of background noise, there's an air show in town, so lots of like bombers and jets going over, so if it's noisy, I apologize. So the first thing, the Reminders app, which is our Evernote synchronized note-taking application, has been updated to point to the production Evernote servers rather than the sandbox servers. So up until now, they've pointed to sandbox.evernote.com and not your real Evernote account. But we've updated that, so they now point to production. So that means if you have an Evernote account and you want to view and edit your real notes, you can do. We'd welcome more testing on this because those of us who are working on the app are not really heavy Evernote users. So if you're a really heavy Evernote user, then install Reminders and connect it to your Evernote account, and then give us some feedback, file bugs if you find them. And point out any issues you may have. We're really looking for people who've got a lot of notes, notebooks, and reminders, because there's some use cases we probably haven't tested for. So that would be really helpful. Music. The music developers are working on some final user interface improvements, which we're currently testing on devices. Those haven't landed in the store yet. Those improvements are related to improving search, so that when you search for a fragment of a music title or an artist title or an album title, it finds the right thing. And also the way the UI works and the navigation between the play queue, the now playing screen, and your search results. And that should all land fairly soon. We're taking some design input from some of the other apps that Bill's just mentioned. The Contacts app, for example, has some UI changes where you look at contacts and favorite contacts, and we're kind of stealing or borrowing some of those design ideas for the music app as well. What's next? Calendar. So for the calendar apps, their developers are finalizing their calendar management features. So that touches a few areas of the app. So first of all, when in online accounts, you can connect to multiple Google accounts. So if you've got a work calendar and a personal calendar, you could connect to both of those in online accounts, and then the calendar app can see those. So you can see all of your events at once in the calendar, but you might want to switch that off. And so we've got a branch that allows you to switch on and off particular calendars in the calendar app. But there's other changes that are required as well. So for example, if you create a new meeting in the calendar app, you need to be able to choose which calendar to add that to. So it might be a personal meeting or it might be a work meeting, so you need to put it in the right calendar. In addition to which, you need to be able to invite the right people. So you don't want to invite your work colleagues to a personal thing, or your personal friends to a work thing. So we're trying to get all the contact selection stuff working when you're creating events in the calendar as well. And that's being worked on at the moment and being tested. Calculator app has had a couple of interesting and annoying bugs this week. The first one, the calculator seems to slow down over a period of time. So the calculator app, whether you may not have seen it, but it works a bit like an accountant's calculator, where you have a paper strip that goes up and you can scroll back and see all your previous calculations. And actually the calculator app was slowing down over time when we were building up lots and lots of calculations. That's been fixed. The second one was a little bit more bizarre in that we found that calculations results would differ depending upon whether the phone was plugged into a charger or not, which was really bizarre. So for example, 1 divided by 3 would return 0.3 under some circumstances, and under other circumstances it would return 0.33333. That took a little while to identify, but we've got a fix for that as well.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Finding that was interesting because we've defined the test as always 0.33333, and if you hold the phone in your hand and you do that calculation, it works. But in the lab, it didn't work, and the reason is the phone was plugged into a charger at the time. Bizarre.
Did
anyway,
you find the reason why it was doing that?
Gotta be some entropy, I bet.
It's one of those Heisenbugs, it's a bit bizarre. There was an upstream fix in the JavaScript library that we use for calculations, but also I think there was a delay added in there as well. There's a couple of fixes in there.
This sounds like a power optimization gone terribly wrong.
Well, that's what we thought. That's what we thought when we first saw it, but thinking it was switching off part of the CPU or something like that, switching off the floating point operations or something like that. But it turns out not to be the case. It's just rubbish JavaScript or something. But that's been fixed. The Shorts app has been updated in the store. Joey and Roman, the developers, have done some work to improve performance, and we've pushed that into the store, which is good. The Clock app we've mentioned before is having a reboot. So I mentioned last time that Neklesh got some new designs for the Clock app from the design team. He's working on that, and he's had some help for the bits that he's not super skilled with, to do with CMake stuff, and we got some help from a bunch of people to help him with that. And once he's done some further testing on device, we will push that new clock to the store. If you follow Neklesh on YouTube or Google+, you'll probably see he's put a couple of videos showing what the app looks like now. It's quite pretty, and it looks very similar to the. It fits with the other apps like the dialer and the contacts. And I think that's about it for now, for me. Managed to go for 10 minutes without my webcam freaking out, so yay.
Yeah, I think that's a new record for it. It's heard you talking about replacing it, so now it's going to behave. So we have a question from Belkinza on IRC for you, Alan. For the Reminders app, will this also work on the desktop?
Yes, it should do. There's no reason why not. We have tested it on the desktop. We do use it on the desktop. It's not in the Unity Next image like some of the other apps. But once we get it on the phone in the image, we should probably think about adding it to the Unity Next ISO image. So yeah,
available. We can run it on Unity 7 desktop though, right? Do we have a PPA for this?
Yes, it can be. You need the Evernote Online Accounts plugin, which I think David Planella's packaged up as a deb. So yeah, we can have that as a dependency. So you should be able to install it from the Core Apps Daily PPA. If you just search for Core Apps Daily PPA, you'll find the PPA, and I think it's in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having note sync between my phone and my desktop again.
Yeah, I had that revelation today when I connected mine to my real Evernote account and saw actual real data and not stupid notes that I've been playing with in the sandbox server.
Yeah, I've been using the local notes app on the phone quite a bit more lately and really miss having the ability to get those directly onto my desktop also. So I will definitely start using that as soon as you say it's in the store now, in the latest development.
Yep, it's in the store, so you can install it from the store, and that will connect to your production Evernote account. If you've already got Reminders and it's already connected to the Sandbox account, you're going to have to remove the Sandbox account from Online Accounts in System Settings, and then just re-add the production one, or just remove the Sandbox account from Online Settings, then launch the new Reminders once you update it, and it'll take you through that process.
All right. Cool. Again, if anybody has any questions, you can ask them in the IRC channel. Just start it with the word question in all caps. All right, we're going to move on now to Lucas.
Okay, I had problems with actually forcing Google to show the unmute button. So thanks, Michael. It will be a quick update from my side this time, because there's not too many things that I could discuss regarding landing and releases for the release that we're currently working on. But anyway, we did in the past few weeks, we did many different big landings throughout the CI train, and not only. Some of those recent ones were a new mirror stack, for instance, which in the end it seems that it didn't cause any serious issues. We were a bit worried because every big landing, like for instance mirror or the Ubuntu UI toolkit, it's always accompanied by some risk. But this time it was really smooth, so we were really happy with what we got in the end. And we also updated the Ubuntu UI toolkit actually even this week. This one, it seems to still have some issues that we're trying to fix. But in overall, it wasn't so bad. This is the release with many changes that probably someone from the Ubuntu UI toolkit should have, like at best, give an update on what exactly changed and what was removed and added. But in overall, this release was waiting for a really long time, maybe even like 3 weeks, I guess. It was tested for a long time because we wanted to make sure that actually, after landing it, the number of regressions that we have, both from the user side and from the side of autopilot testing and smoke testing, is as small as possible. So actually, there was a big, even many QA people were helping out with making sure that those all those issues that were noticed have been fixed. So as I mentioned, we still have, even after landing, we still have some issues with Ubuntu UI Toolkit, but I'll mention those in a moment. Yes, so there was like we made at least yesterday we made big progress regarding improving the test quality, test result quality. Let's so say for the per image smoke testing that we had. Because since Utopic started, since the Utopic cycle started, we didn't have a whole 100% passing smoke testing for any Utopic image. For those that don't know, for every Ubuntu Touch image we're actually releasing, we run so-called smoke testing. It's something that's actually running all the autopilot tests that we have for the core apps and the core system components. And in the past, for instance, in Trusty, we had many images that had all the tests passing. In Utopic, it was a bit hard to get that. We always had a few tests that were failing. Most of them were just like, we call those flag key failures. That means that the test was wrong or something changed in the environment that caused the test to fail, even though the functionality itself was fine. So we were like fighting with that, and the QA team doing a great job. The same for all the upstream developers that were helping out us getting those fixed. And finally, yesterday's image that we promoted actually had a really good test result in the dashboard. We had only 2 test failures for over, like, we have, I think, over 800 tests being run. And only having 2 test failures was a really good achievement. So it seems that Brandon from the QA team and Ricardo Mendoza from the foundations, they found a really nasty bug in the orientation sensor. It was caused by actually by uninitialized variables that was causing the orientation to shake a bit whenever the application was starting, because the sensor didn't have a proper state from the very beginning. So this was actually causing many random test failures from time to time. It got fixed, so we got a really clean, almost 100% green image for that day. And we were even very happy that we might even have a completely green image till the end of the week, but after landing the Ubuntu UI Toolkit, it seems that some other issues popped up, so the complete green image might have to wait to next week. But we're still having hopes that we're able to get proper testing results till the end of next week. So we're still improving the landing process when using the CI train. Since some time ago I mentioned that the CI train will slowly will move out of CI train to the CI airline that I mentioned, but it's still being developed. So so far we're still sticking with the train. So there are some improvements. Most of those improvements are visible only for the landers, the people that actually land things from upstreams. And the improvements are, for instance, we have a new IRC bot. Because, for instance, some of you might know that we already had an IRC bot that was actually tracking how a landing in the CA train is progressing. So now we have a better bot, actually a plugin to the well-known Cube bot that can be visible, for instance, in the Ubuntu release channel. We also have one now in the Ubuntu CI engineering that's actually reporting every status change for the landing stuff. So this is there, and it's still being worked on actively. We improved some of the things in the infrastructure itself, added more safety checks to whenever we're like someone is trying to release a package, so that we don't get anything shipped to the archive that can be broken or invalid. So it's a bit safer now to press buttons and not to worry about what's happening later on. There's also Robert Park. Also, he refurbished one of his like side projects that actually was HTML JavaScript frontend for tracking silo progress. Because as some of you know, we're using Google Spreadsheet for the landing process. And the spreadsheet is, well, besides some of the problems that it has by, for instance, sometimes not working or being slow, it's also not too good to read. So actually, Robert made a very nice user interface, a web interface that you can use to have a quick overview of what's in a silo. You can also perform tasks on that silo, for instance, rebuilding, releasing, publishing. It's a very neat thing, and it got a new user interface recently, so it's even better now. We're also, those of you that follow our landing emails, you probably know that there's like a list of issues that we're trying to track every time from one release to another. I'm also working on, it's almost finished, also a specific issue tracker that you won't have to actually open up every landing email to see how, for instance, a bug is progressing. It will be all written down on one dashboard that will be available publicly, so that everyone will know, for instance, how long this issue was tracked by us, what's the current status, is it being worked on, has it been fixed, and things like that. So we're doing what we can to make the process as best as we can with the tools that we have. We also had many discussions, and we're actually trying to find a really good plan how to proceed with landings during the time of so-called pre-RTM, because we know that these times are nearing slowly, so we need to know if we should like slow down the velocity of landings just to make sure that everything that lands in the archive related to Ubuntu Touch doesn't cause any regressions and doesn't cause us to end up in a state that we can't promote for like over a week, which is really bad. We had a few incidents like that in the past, most of when there were big landings happening, and for instance our tests were broken and the dashboard couldn't get proper test results, or for instance there was some blocking issue that was hard to fix. So we want to find a way to not allow a situation like that to happen again. So it's a very busy time right now, but I think we're managing slowly. And I think that's it for my updates.
All right. Thank you, Lucas. And once again, if anybody has any questions, we're in the #Ubuntu-on-air IRC channel on Freenode, or you can just go to ubuntuonair.com, and we have an embedded IRC client there that'll take you right to the correct channel. All right, we're going to change focus a little bit here and go to George, who's going to give us an update on the work going on in the server and cloud area. George, you had a big release this week, didn't you?
Yes, we did. But I've been distracted. I got Flappy Bird for Ubuntu Touch, so I wasn't really paying attention.
So now there's going to be no progress on Ubuntu server anymore.
All right, yeah, we did have a huge release with Juju 1.2. Let me get this other topic out of the way. So this week, Canonical and HP together, we published an OpenStack on Ubuntu reference architecture. And what this is a document for people that run HP servers and use Ubuntu, and it kind of gives you a how to put together your entire OpenStack infrastructure. So this is something that if you go to insights.ubuntu.com, there's a big link you can't miss right there. And if you have HP ProLiant servers, you can go ahead and click through. You'll get a PDF document. It'll tell you exactly what you need hardware-wise, what's supported by HP, what's supported by Canonical as far as getting up and running with your own OpenStack. So that is pretty awesome. The second biggest thing that we have, well, actually, the big thing that we're doing this past week in Juju land was the release of Juju 1.20 right before the US holiday. And this is a very, very huge release as far as terms of features and things that people have been asking for. So this version will be available in the Juju PPA, and over time it'll be available on backports for Trusty itself, and of course in the Ubuntu Cloud Archive for those of you that are running that in production with OpenStack. So I'm just going to go over some of the features that are really important in 1.2 because some of them have been a long time coming. The first one, which is something that we've needed for a while, is high availability for the Bootstrap node. I consider this the very last feature that we need in order to say that Juju is ready in production at a large scale. If you have Juju already, you can just add HA onto this. So the way this works is Juju runs orchestration by running a Bootstrap node. This is a separate instance that coordinates all of the services in your cloud. So what happened in the past, if that node went away, in the event that node went away, you would lose orchestration. Then you had to manually SSH and go back to the old way of managing your servers, which kind of is not fun. So now there's an ensure availability command. So you just type juju ensure -availability, and what this will do is it will spin up two more, by default, two more instances in your cloud. And what these do is, in case one goes down, the other two take over. You can add as many as you want. Do remember, though, that the amount of nodes that you have for the state server needs to be an odd number. For those of you who are trying to remember your HA, Computer Science 101 cluster stuff. So that's finally available, and that's really a feature that a lot of people have been asking for. Another one that we landed is availability zone placement. So the way placement works now is you can say Juju deploy to this machine over there, that machine over there. This will actually let you deploy in a service, but to a specific zone. So inside of AWS, if you don't want to be in US East 1A, you can say deploy to US East 1B, things like that. Before, you couldn't really say what zone specifically you wanted to deploy to. Azure availability sets are now landed. That means that you can ensure that services are distributed to a certain set of machines so that you get high availability. So the way high availability works is you have multiple machines that handle one service. So if one machine goes down, the service itself keeps running. Sometimes you want HA, sometimes you don't. If you want to be cheap, you don't run HA. But if you want to be really, really available, you have a whole bunch of machines. So now we support that in Azure, so you can set a flag, availability sets enabled equal to true, and then we'll launch more machines and auto load balance things for you and whatnot. So that's really handy if you're scaling at a high level and you need the service to remain up. One of my favorite bugs is finally fixed. Is Juju debug log finally works with LXC. So normally when you're deploying to a cloud, you type Juju debug logs and it gives you all these logs and they're very handy. This did work in the LXC provider, so you had the CDs to some random directory whose name I forget and tail a log, and it was really horrible. So now you can just type Juju debug logs. I prefer to do it in a separate terminal so you can see things are happening while you're executing. You can also now do filtering with the debug log command, so you can say only show me the last 100 lines. I only want 20 lines. Exclude this machine from logging, but include these machines. Debug log levels now you can set service-wide, which is really handy. So there's a bunch of features there you can check on the release notes. Another super annoying bug that we finally got fixed is constraint support with instance type. So before, the way we used to do it is you would say, Juju deploy MySQL, I want CPU 8, RAM 32 gigs or something like that. And then we would do our best to guess what kind of instance that was on Amazon or whatever. What you couldn't do is you could say instance type, m1.small. Like you had to go look on Amazon and find out how many CPUs it had and then give it those parameters. So now they fixed the bug so you can actually type instant-type, deploy constraints instance type equals I want an M3 large or whatever, and then it will actually give you that instead of you having to guess the CPU and RAM. So that's very handy for AWS users. LXC use clone is a new one if you're using ButterFS, you've probably been using this feature where now when you add units, we'll just clone the LXC container. That makes deploying things much, 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 much faster. We now support multiple NICs on the same MAC address. I don't really know the use case for this off the top of my head, but we fixed that. And MAS now has network constraints in a deploy argument. So you could say deploy Mongo, but only on this network, logging, storage, blah, blah, blah. That's more of an advanced feature for people that are using MAS. More importantly, I think for MAS is the MAS provider now supports placement and add machines. So you can say Juju Bootstrap -- 2 and then give it a host name of a machine that you have registered in MAS, which is really nice. We didn't have that before. And lastly, the Juju API server itself. Remember, MAS and Juju all are API'd. So we want people to drive it with their own automation tools or whatever they're using internally. So the server-side API now has versioning. The details for the internals of the API, for those of you that are writing clients, is linked in the release notes, which has been published on my blog. It's on Planet. It's on the Juju mailing list. But there's a Google Doc that kind of explains the internals of the API for those of you that are interested. So that's basically Juju 1.20. It was released before the holiday, so it's already built for all architectures and everything, so you should be set to go. I am ready to answer any questions if anyone has them.
Sorry, I had to find the unmute button. So if anyone has any questions for George on the Juju side of things, go ahead and start asking them in IRC right now. We had one question come up that's kind of unrelated from Landroid. It's asking, how does apt stability compare to Pacman? And I've never used Pacman, but I've also never had any real problems with apt stability. Is anyone else on here able to comment on that?
I don't think I've seen. Apt is well known, well understood. It's a very mature project, so I've never even seen apt crash, to be honest, or depackage for that matter.
The only times I've had a problem with apt is in a development release when there's been some dependency mismatch.
Yeah, but that's the state of the archive. That isn't the tool itself crashing, right? Yeah.
And that's always been easy enough to fix. So, not knowing Pacman, I could just say that apt is very stable. All right. So I'm going to give a couple of updates. I don't have a lot to add to it. We don't have anyone from the Unity 8 team here to give an update, so I'm just going to show off. We've got the new App Store scope available on the dash. You can see nice big friendly icons. I don't know how much of this is going to come across on my webcam, but it's much nicer for searching. You've got departments now. If we can touch this without seeing the screen. So the same kind of categories that you have on the desktop menu or the desktop dash, where you can search by games or productivity tools or accessories, are all on there. And improvements being made into the store so that we can give recommendations. When you do a search for an app that we don't have, we'll be able to suggest similar apps for you. We'll have top-rated apps and be able to pick some favorites of ours to highlight and promote those in the App Store scope as well. We also now have the ability to package and distribute scopes through the App Store. So things like this, the Amazon scope, the Reddit, and eBay scopes, you can now write your own and package them up and deploy them just like you would an app. And the process is mostly the same, which has worked out really well for our app so far. So look forward to some more updates from the community team on how to support that, some better documentation, some tutorials, and maybe even a contest in the near future. And while I'm on the subject of the App Store, we had a big announcement earlier where we crossed the 100,000 downloads mark in the store. So we've had 100,000, more than 100,000 now, quite a bit more, packages downloaded from the store, either new apps or updates to apps. So that shows that we've got quite an active user community around the phone already, even though we don't actually have any phones on sale yet. And for those who are asking, phones are still scheduled to go on sale later this year. We have our release to manufacturing at the end of August, and so that'll be when we hand off the software image to the OEMs, and then they work on making sure that it's running well on their hardware, and then they'll go on sale. So sometime after August, you should start to see those, definitely before the end of the year. All right, and we don't have any more questions on IRC, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, everyone on IRC, for your questions. Be sure to follow Ubuntu On Air on Twitter and on YouTube to get updates on upcoming broadcasts. You can also watch all of the previously recorded Ubuntu On Air videos on the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Ubuntu On Air. And join us again in 2 weeks for another Ubuntu engineering update. There goes your camera, Alan.
Yay.
Had to get that in somewhere.
Hey, what's a good app to show the bottom edge? Is that the cool hotness?
Contacts, messaging, or dialer. They all have different examples of what you can do with the bottom edge.
Right.
I would also recommend Dekko, D-E-K-K-O, which is the raw development version of the Trojita email client.
Ooh.
And Dan Chapman, who's been actively developing that, has added bottom edge features that are very nice. For example, you can, if you're reading an email message, you can highlight part of the message text and then swipe up from the bottom, and that's all that's quoted in your reply email.
Okay. Dekka, you said? D-E-K-K. D-E-K-K-O. Got it.
This is the code he's working on that hasn't yet landed in upstream Trojita.
Excellent.
So it kind of gives you an early access to it.
That's what I want. Yes.
All right. Have fun, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.